Feedback Learning, English Forever.
Garages, not just for cars, but for success. The 10 most famous garages in entrepreneurial history on this week's edition of Feedback LearnX. North American garages have an entrepreneurial mystique. Many large corporations saw the light and began to take their first steps in garages or even a room. These spaces, initially thought for other purposes, became the place where dreams began to become a reality, until they became huge companies that employ thousands of people around the world and generate revenues of hundreds of millions of dollars. Today, probably the perfect co-working spaces are the garages of the startups of the 21st century. What is still valid is the entrepreneurial spirit and passion, capable of overcoming any obstacle. Stay tuned as we present to you the 10 most representative garages of entrepreneurial history. Apple. In 1976, Steve Jobs, along with Steve Wozniak, started Apple in the garage of Steve Jobs' father's house in Palo Alto, California. Some say that Steve Jobs' father collaborated at the beginning of Apple and that he even sold his truck to give that money to his son so that he could start the business. Currently, Apple is one of the most powerful and profitable companies in the technology industry. Throughout its history, it has been in charge of revolutionizing several markets with its innovative products. Microsoft. In 1975, Bill Gates and Paul Allen founded Microsoft in the garage where the Gates family car was stored. Years later, Microsoft would become the most important software company in the world and would make billionaires to its founders. Currently, Bill Gates stopped directing the company to dedicate himself to the foundation he started with his wife. And although the company has lost ground against rivals like Apple and Google, it continues to be one of the most important competitors in the technology industry. Google. In 1998, Larry Page and Sergey Brin founded Google in a garage that they rented from Miss Susan Wojcicki for $1,700 per month. Really, Google was born in the bedroom of Larry Page, but later they were forced to move to the garage to have a social headquarters and to be able to cash a check that they had obtained to be able to continue with their project. Currently, Google is the most important and powerful internet company. In addition, its advertising system is a reference on the web. Years and years of innovation make it one of the most powerful companies in the technology industry. Hewlett-Packard. In 1939, Bill Hewlett and David Packard joined forces to found the Hewlett-Packard Company in a garage and to be pioneers in the technology business in the United States. The garage where Hewlett-Packard was born is an almost mythical place among technology lovers and has become a very attractive tourist destination. Disney. In the early 1920s, Walt Disney, along with his brother Roy, came to the city of Los Angeles to produce animated shorts, and the garage of one of his uncles became the workshop where these two entrepreneurs captured their first ideas on animation and finalized their first projects. Disney is now a legendary company that has created iconic animated characters that have entertained generations of children and teenagers for years. Mattel Inc. The famous Barbie doll is another product that was born in a garage. Ruth and Elliot Handler, two colleagues in an industrial design course, decided to start their own business in the garage of one of them. They began to sell wooden frames and later they began to manufacture houses of dolls and other toys for children. Ruth discovered that this was an interesting and little explored market and then decided to make a doll with the features of an adult woman. Thus, the first Barbie was born in the 1950s. Amazon. In 1994, Jeff Bezos started a project called Cadabra.com, which consisted of an online bookshop and used as a text warehouse, precisely a garage. This business grew rapidly, and little by little, it was covering other types of products that were sold through the internet. Years later, the site was renamed Amazon. Amazon became a pioneer in e-commerce and defined several of the foundations that currently support online sales. Currently, Amazon is one of the most important e-commerce sites on the web and registers million-dollar sales every day. Yankee Candle. At the end of the 60s, Michael Kittredge came up with the idea of melting wax crayons in his garage to create an aromatic candle and give it to his mother as a Christmas gift. The neighbors liked the present, so original so much that they began to make orders. This is how Yankee Candle was born, the most successful and important wax candle company that currently exists in the United States. Dell. In 1984, Michael Dell founded PC Limited. Later, the company would change its name to Dell. With an initial investment of $1,000, the company was born in a room of a young entrepreneur who thought it was a good idea to create customized computers according to the client's requirements. The idea of Michael was not only a good business idea, but also it developed an absolutely revolutionary concept in the way of selling computers. Currently, Dell is a company that sells millions of computers around the world and ranks among the 500 largest companies in the world, according to the ranking of Fortune magazine. Harley-Davidson. At the beginning of the last century, William Harley and Arthur Davidson began working in a garage manufacturing bicycle engines. A couple of years later, in the same place, they created a prototype of this transport, but motorized. This is how Harley-Davidson was officially established, the most emblematic motorcycle company that exists to this day. So there you have it, 10 different entrepreneurial successes that all started in a garage. So tell us, what would be your garage startup? Thanks for joining us in this week's edition of Feedback LearnX. We hope you got a little entrepreneurial spark.
Feedback LearnX, English Forever. Estamos en sintonía. Feedback LearnX, English Forever. Feedback LearnX.